Hello everyone, welcome back. Welcome if you are new here. My name is Sarah Jane and I make content about living in DC, reading and writing. So if that sort of content interests you, be sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe because it really does help support my channel. Today is going to be a December reset. I always make resets at the beginning of the month. I think it's such a great time to reflect on the previous month and set new goals for the next month. I also talk about some of my monthly favorites from the previous month, and it's just a really nice time just to sit down and chat and just reflect and make more goals. I'm a really big goal-oriented person, and so these are great videos for me. So I always like to start off with a monthly reflection. So thinking back on to my goals from November, I always split these up into 5 categories. So I have health and wellness, social media, finance, relationships, and reading. So let's get into it. Starting with health and wellness, I wanted to run on average 4 miles a week, and I did do that. I'm really happy with myself for that. It's so good, not only for my physical health, but my mental health to get outside. I am a little concerned going into the winter months now that it's going to be harder to get outside with the very limited amount of daylight. And I found that happened even for myself, during November. I had pretty good weather, but with such a limited amount of daylight, it just made it really hard. So we'll see if that continues in December. Next step was to maintain a healthy eating routine, and I put bean salads because I found the bean salad girl on TikTok, and I've started implementing bean salads into my routine for meal prepping, and I did do that. I maintained such a good balance of being able to eat healthy foods. I switched to a high fiber diet, which has been really wonderful for my overall gut health. If that's something that you've been interested in, or if you've seen her TikTok videos, I highly recommend it because it, like I said, did wonders for me and how I felt. Moving into social media, post 1 video a week. I killed this goal. I actually posted 2 videos every single week, which did not see that coming. I think a large part of that is I'm putting a lot more effort into documenting my writing journey. So I have been writing Project Crown now for over a year. It is my Greek mythological adult fiction novel about the Amazons. And for draft 1, I did some updates, but I did not do routine updates versus I'm trying to be better about documenting routine updates about this thing that I have been working really hard on. So I did that this month. I am so proud. I have not been able to update consistently on YouTube for a minute now, so I was really happy with this. Going into finance, continue saving for the house. We are currently in the process of saving for our down payment for our new home. This is something that we've been saving for a while now, and consistency is key and the name of the game when it comes to financial peace. So that is just something that we kept trucking along and doing. Moving into relationships. So first up is 6 hours of socialization per week. I do this thing where I try to document how many hours of socialization I get per week. It's important to me to do that because I find that if I don't make it a priority by putting a number with it, sometimes I will just not socialize, and that's not good for me. I should always be socializing. I think it's important for mental health to surround yourself with community and friends. So I don't know if I actually did that. So let me look really quick. Looking at my social calendar, I did not socialize 6 hours each week, which is a bummer. I was pretty good about it for most of the month, but not every week. Honestly, it's okay though, because I socialized so much in October. It was like exhausting. So that's okay. I didn't get that one, but that's okay. And I know I do have a lot of social stuff coming up in December. So next up was plan my birthday. I did do that. I, every year, have a really hard time with planning my birthday. I don't know what it is. I think it's because we didn't really make a big deal out of our birthdays growing up that I've just kind of carried that into my adult life. But I have so many friends who do make a big deal out of their birthday. And when they do make it a big deal, I'm like, oh, absolutely. Like, let's make your birthday a big deal. So I don't know why I have a hard time doing that for myself. But I did put together a plan for my birthday and I'm excited. I have my friends coming together. We're doing nothing crazy. We're just coming together for some drinks, but I think it'll be a great time buying an outfit. I'm really excited about it. Next up is plan a ski trip. So this is the year that I want to get better at skiing. It is one of those things that I've been trying to for years and I'm not really the most successful at it. But we've saved, because skiing in general can be pretty expensive. We've saved up for a ski trip. I just actually haven't booked anything. Originally, I was going to plan a ski trip for December, but it's not really working out. The weekend I was going to go, it turns out I have a lot of social plans. So I think we're going to end up going in January, probably that long 4-day or long weekend there with Martin Luther King Day. I think that's going to be the plan. Haven't planned it yet, but we have saved for it. So I'm not going to give myself that one, but I have the intentions of still doing it. And then last fun for relationships is plan a longer trip in December. Now, I did do that one. Okay, backstory. I love traveling. Traveling is like one of my favorite pastimes. And I understand that it's a luxury and not everyone can do it. And I'm very grateful that my husband and I have the means to do it, and that we are very smart with how we plan to go traveling, and we try to, use everything to our advantage as possible. So I had told my husband last year, I was like, hey, you have that dead time between Christmas and New Year's. And I was like, listen, I feel like we're just wasting time. Why don't next year, aka now, we plan a trip during that time period? And so we did. So we have planned a trip to Scotland, which I'm really, really excited about. And we decided on Scotland because we traveled to Ireland before our wedding, and Ireland turned out to be such an amazing experience, and we were just so happy and we loved it. And so we wanted to kind of have that experience of like the Highlands and the cozy bars and that kind of thing, and like the reading rooms. So Scotland seemed like a perfect fit. So we have planned it for that time period between Christmas and New Year's. So we'll be spending New Year's abroad, and I'm just really excited. It's just such a good time, and I love creating these new memories with my husband. I think it's so precious to me. But I did book the flights and the hotels. Most of the hotels. I still need to book one more hotel because we're staying in different parts throughout our trip, but for the most part, like, planned that, and I'm really proud of that. Okay, last but not least is reading. Read 3 books. I did not read. I really did not read very well this month. And I think a lot of that has to do with writing. So a lot of the time that I would normally dedicate to reading, I then have been writing instead. So that's okay. I wanted to read 3 books. I read 2. I read The Woman, and then I read Where the Library Hides by Isabella Banez. That just came out. So sad that I did not get to 3. I did read 2. Is what it is. I think I'll probably get some more reading done in December. All the coziness. Okay, and then last but certainly not least is read draft 1 of Project Crown and begin implementing revisions. I totally did that. So when I finished draft 1 of Project Crown, I put it away for 3 months and just sat on it so I could kind of like forget about it. And that was so great that I did that, because then when I did go and read it, it was really fresh, and I was able to read it a little bit more objectively than if I had just finished it and started reading it. And so I had quite a few edits for myself. If you guys didn't watch that vlog, I had developmental edits, character edits, I had world building edits. I just had all kind of edits for myself. So I've spent the last couple weeks implementing those edits, and I'm really happy that I did that. And I'm still in the trenches of draft 2 right now. So of my 10 goals, I got 7 of them. And honestly, I'm pretty happy with that, because the ones that I got were the ones that were probably the hardest. The ones that I didn't get were ones that, like, I think if I just put a little bit more effort, I could have gotten them, but I prioritized the hard things, and I'm proud of that. So with that being said, now I'm going to take a second and I'm going to start working on my December goals, and we're going to check back in. Okay, I have plotted out my December goals, so let's go ahead and check in. Some of these goals are similar to my November goals, because that's the thing about long-term goals, right, is you have to do them consistently over time for them to be effective. So with that being said, a couple of them are similar, just as a heads up, but let's get into it. Starting with health and wellness. Run on average 4 miles a week. I do think this will be harder in December. It's going to get colder. There's going to be even less daylight. I think this is going to be challenging, and I might have to go to the gym and run on a treadmill, which is something that I absolutely hate doing, but it might be my reality. And then second is maintain the bean salad diet that I do for lunch. Really loved it. I might have to look up more recipes though, because I think I've done all the recipes that the bean salad girl has out there into social media. I don't want to bump up my goal to 2 videos a week, because I don't know if I was just really motivated in November. So I'm going to maintain the goal of 1 video a week on YouTube. And if I can get up to 2, that's great. Finance is the same, house savings. For relationships, I am keeping, this is where it gets a little different. I am keeping the goal of 6 hours of socialization per week. I think it is especially important in the winter months to make sure that you surround yourself with people and community because it can be such a hard time. And so really making sure that I go out of my way to like spend time with friends during that time period. 2 is to plan the ski trip. Gotta plan the ski trip. And then 3 is finish planning the Scotland trip. As I mentioned earlier, I still have another hotel to book. And then I haven't actually decided what we're going to do in Scotland. I have vague ideas of like some hikes that I want to do in the Highlands and things like that. But I definitely need to like put more thought into it. I'm not one of those people. I can't just like go to an area and just like walk around. I feel like I'm wasting my time when I do that. And I spent so much money to be there. Like I definitely want an itinerary to go through. And then for reading, I do want to read 3 books. I do think it will be possible in the month of November because I am going to try to finish draft 2 of Project Crown. And I think that'll give me time to actually read. And then also things are just going to get a lot slower at work. So I think that will be doable. And with that being said, I do want to finish draft 2 of Project Crown and be able to get those out to beta readers. I do have a couple beta readers in mind. And if you guys watched a previous video, I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to send this work to beta readers. Like, I feel like that's just makes me feel so vulnerable, but I think it'll be good. I have some folks who I really trust that I think will give me good feedback on whether it's good or bad feedback, will give me like feedback that will be helpful to making the work better. And I want to get that to them in December since it's also a slower time. That way I can implement those edits when I get back from my trip from Scotland. All right. And then with that being said, so those are all of my goals for the month of December, all very attainable. Moving over to favorites. So, okay. I always break this down by memory, product, and book. So my favorite memory from the month of November, and I just think these are always really nice to reflect on, is going to New Orleans. So I was required, I was tasked to put together this event. It was a social media event for some of our influencers because I work in social media during my 9-to-5 job. And it was a lot of work in a short period of time. I had to gather people. We had to fly to New Orleans. I had to put together this 2-a-day event, and we had this huge culminating event at the very end of it when we were in the Superdome. It was super cool. And that was probably my favorite memory though, because it was the first time I've ever spearheaded an event like that at my current job. And it just went so successfully. And I think that's all you can ever ask for. And it was a little bit of everything. Like we had like fun stuff. We had serious stuff. Like we had all just sorts of things. And I got to meet a famous celebrity chef and like, it was just great. So that was my favorite memory. My favorite product this month is, I'm gonna hold it up. It's my new keyboard. This is the Aura 99. She just sounds so lovely and it makes me so happy. I haven't truly had like a keyboard since like middle school, but because I have been doing so much writing for Project Crown, I just felt like it was time to get a keyboard. Also on my old laptop, so I got a new MacBook this year, but on my old MacBook, the keys eventually gave out, and I just feel like if I'm writing 100,000 words on my MacBook keyboard, it is going to go out. So to try to alleviate that a little bit, I thought getting an external keyboard would be helpful. But yeah, I was looking at all the different options for keyboards, and I just really liked the way the Aura 99 sounded. It just seemed like, all creamy and like scratched my brain in all the right ways. Last up is favorite book. So this month, my favorite book was The Woman by Kristen Hanna. This book has been out for about a year now, and I finally got around to reading it, and I'm so glad I read it. Oh my gosh, it was such a wonderful story about the women who served during the Vietnam War. It's a historical fiction adult book. And the first half, just like trigger warnings, because no one really gave me this trigger warning, and I am a veteran. So going into this book and reading about this woman's experience around people who were dying from combat, they're like trigger warning if you have, that sort of experience in history in your life, because that was really hard for me to read. I eventually could not read the physical book, and I had to switch to the audiobook format to make it a little bit more palatable for myself. So that's the first half of the book, and the second half of the book is her coming back from serving in Vietnam and reintegrating into society and the challenges that come with PTSD. I just absolutely loved this book. I thought it was so well written. I thought it was so well researched. I thought it was just overall a really good story about women's service in the military. And obviously as a veteran, that means a lot to me. So absolutely loved that book. So anyways, those are all my favorites. And that kind of concludes today's video and my December reset. I am ready to head into Christmas and like just enjoy all the holly jolliness. This is such a wonderful time of year, and it's really exciting because I am relatively newly married. My husband and I have been married a little over a year now, and we're still figuring out our Christmas traditions and the things that we want to have in our little unit. And so it's just really nice. But anyhow, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe because it really does help support my channel. And I will see you guys in another one. Bye.